If you're dreaming about moving to Portland, you're probably imagining cobblestone streets in the Old Port, fresh lobster rolls anytime, and those postcard lighthouse views along the coast. And you'd be right. However, you'd also have to picture brutal winters and an economy that can be seasonally dead, and really high property taxes. These are a lot of things that most real estate agents won't tell you about actually living here, but as a Maine native and a Portland real estate insider, I can help you by breaking down the 9 pros and cons of living here. So let's get into it. Let's start with what hits your wallet first. Cost of living and property taxes. From 2015 to 2025, median home prices have jumped from around $250,000 to the high 600s. That's 164% appreciation in just 10 years. Huge. Right now, homes are actually selling in the high 600,000s, up 10% year over year. Now, let me put that in perspective. That creates a home price to income ratio that's more than double what's traditionally considered affordable. Plus, property taxes here are classic New England. Cumberland County has an effective property tax rate of 1.17%, well above the US average of 0.9%. For a mid $600,000 home, you're looking at roughly $7,700 to $8,000 every single year in property taxes. Over a 30-year mortgage, you'll pay just over $230,000 in property taxes alone. Sound harsh? There are even harsher realities coming up, so stay tuned. Now, I'll also be honest with you about some of the amazing pros around here, starting with the view. So after that cost reality check, let me tell you about one of Portland's biggest advantages, the coastal geography. The Eastern Promenade is a waterfront park with walking paths and incredible views of Casco Bay. You've got a public beach, kayak rentals, and summer festivals and concerts throughout the season. Portland also gives you access to Maine's lighthouse heritage. Portland Headlight sits about 5 miles south in Cape Elizabeth. Fun fact, George Washington himself directed construction in the 1700s. And it's one of the most photographed lighthouses in the country, if you can believe it. And Spring Point Ledge and Bug Light are in nearby South Portland. Two Lights State Park and Crescent Beach State Park are also a 15-minute drive away. But here's something most people don't realize. You can actually access the Casco Bay Islands through Casco Bay lines. They run a year-round ferry service every single day to 7 of the most populated islands. You can literally walk from your condo in the Old Port, hop on a ferry, and explore island communities without ever getting in the car. That is, if it's not winter. Because our next con is actually one of the biggest deal breakers for most people, winter. Portland winters are long, cold, and very demanding. We're talking about a 6-month season that runs November straight through April. January temperatures average 33 degrees for the high and 16 for the low, and Portland gets around 69 inches of snow every single year. But here's what makes Portland winters particularly tough. Downtown has historic brick sidewalks all through the Old Port and many neighborhoods. These turn into serious ice hazards during freeze-thaw cycles. And then there's the mental toll. Portland gets 48 inches of annual precipitation with lots of frost days per year. This makes long gray stretches, especially February through April. The daylight hours are brutal during the winter. Bottom line, if you struggle with seasonal depression or generally cold tolerant, no amount of coastal beauty makes up for 6 months of this reality. And I'll go back to seasonal shifts and opportunities later on, so hold on. Now, here's where Portland really delivers, the food scene. There's lots of talk about here, starting with Bon Appetit. It was named Portland's Restaurant City of the Year in 2018, and 4th Street is a James Beard Award-winning restaurant that specializes in wood-fire New American cuisine. Street & Co. does Mediterranean seafood in intimate harbor view settings, but it goes beyond just seafood. There's also newer international spots throughout the peninsula that really broaden what's available. Portland's craft beer scene has also become very strong. Argenta Brewing Company opened in 2024 and got recognized as one of 2025's best new breweries nationally. You've got spots like Shipyard Brewing Company, Bissell Brothers, Rising Tide, plus you have all the food trucks you can imagine, like Bite into Maine for lobster rolls. All of these rotate through breweries in Portland and downtown spots, so awesome options there. Which isn't so true about our next topic, unfortunately. So before I get into that, let me say this. If you're considering the Portland market and want someone who actually understands these local dynamics, reach out to me. I specialize in working with relocators or locals who want fair market analysis and transparency about the realities of living in Maine. My contact info is down in the description, and I'll be waiting for you to reach out. All right, let's get back into it. So let's address another big challenge, employment. Yes, Portland's job market focuses heavily on specific sectors. Basically, you have healthcare, you have education, hospitality, and governments drive the economy. Maine Health, which operates Maine Medical Center, Northern Light Mercy, and Martins Point Healthcare are among the largest employers. Education jobs center around the University of Southern Maine and Portland Public Schools. But here's the thing, professional services, technology, and manufacturing are pretty underdeveloped in Portland compared to actual tech hubs like Boston, Seattle, or Austin. The city doesn't have Fortune 500 headquarters or any kind of professional services infrastructure you'd see in bigger cities. No major investment banking or management consulting firms. If you're career-focused and in specialized corporate fields, Portland's opportunities might feel limited. Remote work has helped a lot since 2020 though, but this only works if your employer stays flexible with remote work. All right, so let's shift gears for a second and talk about another major pro. Now, walkability and authentic urban character are benefits that Portland residents definitely have. The Old Port District has cobblestone streets, historic buildings, and shops along 4th Street, Middle, Commercial, Exchange, and Market Street. It also stretches along the waterfront. You can explore everything on foot, so a car really isn't needed. The Arts District sits along Congress Street and about 3 blocks inland. This is Portland's cultural and creative hub. Congress Street has independent galleries, antique shops, artist studios, and artisan craft vendors. It's really cool to walk around there when it's not freezing cold. And then the monthly First Friday Art Walk happens here with extended gallery hours. Live performances, street art on the first Friday of each month. It's really, really cool. But there's a challenge that comes with Portland's appeal, which is seasonality. Tourism revenue really concentrates from May through October. This creates cyclical business pressure and staffing problems. Restaurants, hotels, and gift shops have to cut staff and reduce hours during the November through April winter stretch. Small business owners report huge revenue swings between these peak months in July and August versus slow months in January and February. Businesses that thrive in summer can really struggle through the winter. And this creates an economic rhythm that affects the entire city. But this next pro also affects everybody, and in a good way. Now, here's where Portland's smaller size actually becomes an advantage. Community engagement is real. Portland cranks out cultural events through both established groups and grassroots efforts. The calendar shows community involvement that's actually unusual for a city of Portland's size. Spring and early summer bring art into bloom to Portland Museum of Art. You've got annual floral art installations. Also, the Music and Arts Festival in June draws over 7,500 people with performances and local vendors. The Portland Batch Experience Festival runs early to mid-June with classical music performances. And Wavy Days Beer Festival in late June features North American breweries with unlimited samples, food trucks, and live music at Thompson Point. But that's not all. Summer keeps going with the Maine Outdoor Film Festival in late July. The Portland Chamber Summer Festival has classic and contemporary chamber music. The Portland Fine Craft Show brings exhibitors from Maine and the Northeast. And St. Peter's annual Italian Bazaar celebrated its 100th year in 2025. Lastly, year-end brings the Monument Square tree lighting the day after Thanksgiving. And I'll go back to this by the end, so stick around. Now, if you value being part of community rather than just living near one, Portland delivers that. But there's a flip to this, and a lot of people might not realize it beforehand. So let's be honest about size limitations. Portland's population and the greater Portland metro create limits on entertainment options. For instance, major music tours generally skip Portland for bigger markets. That means 2-hour drives to Boston if you want to see major national acts. Theater programming stays very limited. Nightlife centers on brew pubs and cocktail bars rather than clubs and dance venues. Shopping options reflect the size big time. And Portland doesn't have traditional department stores, high-end retail, or fashion flagship stores. You typically need trips to Boston, the main mall in South Portland, or online shopping for clothes and consumer goods. This hits harder for younger residents who are used to the big city environment. We deliver exceptional quality of life for what we offer, but it doesn't offer the depth that you'd get in the city's 3 to 5 times the size. That'll also tie into another con, which I'll mention later on, so stick around. Having said that though, there's an incredible alternative to this con, which is outdoor recreation beyond just coastal scenery. You've got a lot of possibilities here. Kayak rentals on the East End Beach, on the waterfront. You can also access Casco Bay Islands and do exploration out there like we saw, which is so much fun. The Eastern Promenade Trail also connects downtown to miles of waterfront paths. Casco Bay Lines also runs special cruises, including sunset cruises, sunrise, and music cruises during the season. Winter sports are accessible inland, cross-country skiing, alpine skiing within an hour to 2.5 hours from Portland. Sunday River and Sugarloaf are the big names. Bike infrastructure, including Portland trails and access to regional cycling routes, is huge here too. The Back Cove Trail gives you a 3.6-mile loop that's popular with runners and cyclists year-round. So for Portland's size, the variety of access to outdoor recreation are honestly impressive. You're never more than 10 or 15 minutes to water or trail systems. But how can you get here or anywhere? That brings me to con number 6, So public transit is another challenge. Portland's system, the Greater Portland Metro, is Maine's largest transit agency, but it functions on a way smaller scale than comparable metro areas. Here's the critical limitation. Most Portland residents need a car for daily life. Public transit runs 30 to 60 minutes on main routes, service operators mostly, and really only services during the daytime hours with limited evening and weekend options. And yeah, Casco Bay Ferry Lines connects Portland to the islands, but doesn't replace needing a car for inland destinations. If you're moving from a city with a subway or light rail system, this is a big lifestyle adjustment. I'll be going back to traffic in a minute, and spoiler alert, it's another challenge, so stay with me. This next pro though is actually very cool, so check this out. So this is something that matters more and more, which is healthcare access. Maine Medical Center is Portland's main healthcare hub and regional referral center. According to US News and World Report rankings, Maine Medical Center holds the #1 regional hospital spot in Maine. The hospital group earned high-performing status in procedures and conditions including heart attack, heart bypass surgery, hip replacement, knee replacement, lung cancer surgery, and stroke care. The broader Maine health system is Maine's dominant healthcare market, so you're getting access to the regional hub for specialized care across northern New England. If you need advanced cardiac procedures, cancer treatment, or complex surgical work, you're not traveling to Boston. The infrastructure exists right here in Portland. However, that's not really true for every infrastructure around, and I'll prove it to you. Yeah, downtown parking stays tight. Winter snow makes parking worse through mandatory snow ban parking rules that enforce you to move your vehicle during snow removal, and so on. Infrastructure aging reflects typical New England deferred maintenance. Sidewalk conditions in downtown historic districts stay super uneven. Stormwater systems hit capacity limits during heavy rain. Road surfaces really deteriorate in winter months before spring repairs. And even worse, housing supply hasn't kept up with demand, which adds to the price appreciation we discussed earlier. So this is something to consider for daily life. But here's something that many people genuinely appreciate. Remember the winter challenges? Well, we have 4 distinct seasons. Summers are awesome, with July averaging 80 degrees high to 60 degrees low. The ocean influence moderates both winter and summer extremes, so you're not dealing with oppressive heat and humidity like southern cities. Fall delivers spectacular foliage from late September through early October. Spring brings gradually warming temperatures and blooms throughout the parks. So the seasonal rhythm creates real variety throughout the year. Each season brings different activities, festivals, and community character, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, but let me talk about traffic. Portland avoids the crazy congestion you see in Boston, New York, or DC, but specific routes get jammed during rush hour. Interstate 295 hits bottleneck during morning and afternoon commutes, especially at the Forest Avenue exit. Forest Avenue and Route 1 create additional checkpoints. Downtown access during winter snow make these problems way worse, so be ready to deal with that. However, here's a perspective that matters. Compare Portland's traffic to that of an actual metro area, and the difference is dramatic. Most commutes from surrounding towns to downtown Portland stay manageable outside of peak hours. Even during rush hour, you're looking at more reasonable times, so don't stress too much about it. Compare this to Boston, where your commute can easily hit an hour each way, or New York, where a 90-minute commute is standard. Portland's traffic bottlenecks are measured in minutes of time, not hours. Less commuting time means more time for everything else, and that's a real lifestyle benefit compared to major metro areas. Now let's address the final challenge. Summer tourist congestion is real. Peak season, especially July through August, and particularly the first 2 weeks of August, bring way more people to downtown. Parking gets scarce. Restaurant wait times stretch significantly without reservations. Popular restaurants like 4th Street, Street & Company, and Central Provisions run constant walk-in lines during July and August. You're gonna need reservations. Finding parking in the Old Port during peak summer weekends gets genuinely challenging. The seasonality creates changing neighborhood character. You get a quiet, local-oriented downtown from November through April, then a tourist-packed commercial district from July through August. If you love the energy, hustle and bustle, and summer tourism feel, awesome. If you value consistent neighborhood character and avoiding crowds, summer tourism feels kind of invasive. But let's top this off on a positive note. Portland's art and culture scene is amazing. For a city of this size, the cultural setup is actually impressive. The Portland Museum of Art finished a major expansion in November 2025. They opened a 22,000 square foot pavilion, and the expanded museum is already open. As we saw earlier, the Arts District has a ton of independent galleries, artist studios, and performance venues. The First Friday Art Walk I mentioned, local theaters like the Portland Stage Company and Portland Symphony Orchestra, gives you quality shows and more. The creative community here is active and accessible. Portland's art and culture feel approachable, community-oriented, and part of daily life rather than a separate elite thing. So the bottom line on Portland, the city delivers real value for specific people. Remote workers who want a coastal lifestyle and cultural amenities, early to mid-career professionals in healthcare and education seeking quality of life, retirees from higher tax states who love cultural stuff and healthcare access in a walkable area. But the big challenge is climate tolerance and seasonal economic shifts. You've got to be ready for those. And if you need help with that, I can tell you the different areas that actually deliver versus what marketing materials might promise. So please reach out. My information is in the description or on the screen. But hold on, before you make any choices, watch this video next. I'll break down some of the misconceptions people have about life around here and get honest with some of the issues I mentioned today. Thanks for being here. We'll see you soon.